Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in today's tutorial we are going to create a very simple web application using Golang that acts as a basic calculator. So this application will have two separate sections, one for entering input and the other one for displaying the output. I already set up the project structure with three main files. Main.go, which we will be coding right now, it's a Golang file, and input HTML file for input form, and the output HTML for displaying the output. You can find all these files in the video description below. So I will just explain these HTML files very quickly, but after that, in the end of the video, we can check them out very detailed. So in the input HTML file, you can see our radio buttons. We will have plus, minus, and other stuffs. We have a title over here, head links, and other stuffs. And let's just start by coding the main.go file. Okay, so in main.go file, we will basically have two functions. One of them is function main, and the other one is calculate function, which will be handling all those calculations and algorithms. So let's just start coding on function calculate. So how can we calculate an adding instruction, or how we can analyze what do we want in the operators? Like if you want to add, divide, mod, or however it is. So my function will have two integer inputs, which will be like, let's say I want to calculate 3 plus 2. So I need two integer, right? And one operator as string, which refers to plus, to add. And I want to return the result as integer, which is our result. 3 plus 2 equals to 5, so it will be my result. And string if there's any error or other stuff. Let's just start coding from over here. I'm not start coding on the main function because I will have two HTTP handlers. So let's just start handling the algorithms on calculations, and after that we will check this out on function main. So on my calculate function, I need an output, right? First of all, I need to initialize it. And I have a error string to get and to check data if there's an error. Like let's say if you want to divide, like let's say you want to divide 3 into 0. So it should not be right. So I need to check this out. I will first of all use switch case operators, because I will give some options to the user, and user will select if it's an add operation, divide operation, mod operation, multiple operation, etc. So I will have some cases. They are string because I just gave to the function as their string. So I need to calculate the output like this. How can I calculate it? Like if it's an add function, then I need to add these two numbers, right? It's a very basic mathematical operation. And I will do the same for all of the operators. I will just change the outputs like this. So just the logic will change, right? Okay. And the multiplication, always I change the output like this. Number 1, number 2. Okay. In case on if I want to divide it. So right now that's okay, right? If I want to, like let's say add 3, like I want to have that operation like 3 plus 0. So that will return me to like 3, right? Okay, that's not a problem. And if I want to multiply 3 times 0, then it will just result as 0, right? But if I want to divide it into O, then it will be a problem, because you should not do this. It's a basic mathematical operation. So I need to check it over here. So I can also have the conditions over here. If I'm dividing number 2 into number 1, then if it's 0, I will just say that, okay, that's a problem. That's why I just have a string error. And I say like, it's a division by 0. And if it's not, which is that's quite okay for us, that's the thing that we would like to do, so we can just right now calculate our output. How can I do this? Like, just divide it. Yeah, just like that. Don't forget to check the edge case while you are coding, because we don't want the scope to break. And what operation? Oops. We can do the same. So on mode operation, it's the same, right? We can also use these parts in our code. My number equals to 0, then my error will be module by 0. So that's a problem. If it's not, then just calculate the output. Okay, so as you can see, all of my operations are done right now, but since it's a switch case operation, then we can finish it by saying that, okay, if it's default, if it's not one of them, so it's an invalid operation, because we don't want scope to go down. And so all of our function algorithm and calculations are done right now, and I can return the things I want to calculate. What are these? An integer and string, the result, output, and the error that I have just coded. So it will return output and error. Oops. Okay, great. So this is how we have coded our calculate function. Right now I will have my main function. As I said before, I will have 2 HTTP handles, one of them for nothing, for just slash, and the other one for result, because I want to direct to the user to see the result in another page. But first of all, let's have a struct named input data, which represents the data for the input form, because we have an input HTML. So to use our data from that Golang file on input HTML file, we need to have a struct. What my struct concept will contain are these, like, okay, what I want to do. So I will have 2 inputs, one for number 1 and the other one for number 2, an operator selection, and result and error. That's all we have talked about for now, right? The same as these ones. So, they start with capital. Just do the same. Oops. Operator, it's a string. Result, it's an integer. And error from string. I'm not using the errors file for error class. So on my main function file, I will start coding by HTTP handle function. I can use that one. So as I have said before, I will be using slash, and I will have the HTTP response and request, because I want to connect to localhost 880, and I need to add response writer and response request, or HTTP request, just like that. Okay, on over here I have input data. From here I will just create an input data variable, and I will have the input data as struct. And since I want to use input HTML file, I'll be adding, using them as template, and I need to parse files from it to use that, because I want to see it on localhost, right? Template that should must, and let's just put our template and parse our files. I can put the input.html file right now. I will be adding them as string. Okay, that's great. They're warning me right now. It's angry because I'm still not using them. So I need to check in an if condition if the method of r, which is our request, equals to method post, because we want to post it. R dot method and http method post, which means just post on, and we can see, I can show you on Postman. So on input data, I will have number 1, number 2, operator, and result, right? For now, yeah, I can also have the error. Input data, number 1, and I need to have a string conversation over here, and authority to just sort it, right? So what am I waiting for now? Authority means that, okay, there's a mismatch. Oh, that means a mismatch 1 is not equals to 2, so that means that statement will return 2 parameters, but I have just 1 right now. So the other one, since I will not be using, I can add this one. If you don't want to return something, and if you don't want to use any variable, you can use that. Okay, r dot form value, and I can have the number 1, right? And do the same for all of them. Number 2, same with here, and same with operator. Just a little change. I will not be having to use string conversation because they were integer, and that's why I had to use string conversation. But right now operator is already string, so I can just add like, okay, r dot form value and the operator. And for input data results, I need to do the same. And I can also have error over here as like calculated as input data number 1, number 2, and operator. Number 1, number 2, and operator. All right. So, okay, that's it from our one of the HTTP function. But since we still did not use templates, we need to execute it as we already imported our input data, right? So let's just use our template that execute from the HTTP function to get the results. To response writer and input data. That was it from the very first one. Let's just have the other one, the result one. You can simply copy and paste it. Same operations will happen over here. I will be just adding results into the function. These statements will stay stable, and the thing over here, I will have the inputs on that endpoint, but I want to write them into output right now. So I will use output HTML as template. And same with method post, same with conversations. All we should have is just to listen the HTTP files. So right now we're all done from it. just the UI will change. That's why we have output HTML file. We have already imported it as template. I have already executed it. I will just change the UI on output HTML. So we can right now start listening our HTTP port. That means we should use listen and serve on which localhost 8080. You can use whatever you would like to, which are empty. And I guess that's it for now. So I can also show you the output file. My output HTTP is a quite basic page, which is named as here. You are at output page. It's a headline. We have the operations, and if you want to go back, we have a slash, which means like if you don't understand what that means. So if you want to type like cd ... that means that go up upper directory. So you have something like this. You are over here, let's say, and if you want to go back, that means just take them all and go to the backslash. So that means we were over here, we have just moved down there. So go back as just refers to that one. And our input file has some button files, some input buttons, radio button group as operators. Like you can just add them, the names of them, and inside of the loop, these are just text, labels, and other stuff. So right now they have already imported. We can simply run the project. Go around main.go. Okay, it's not a main package, so I guess we had just a problem. Our package name should be main. Right now, let's just start. Okay, as you can see, right now it just listens. And alright, so let me just have these ones. Sorry. Let's just type localhost 880. We have connected. As you can see, this is how our page look like. Very simple calculator. This is the very first page, landing page, which refers to input.html file. You can see how our code turns into the reality, and our main.go file. So let's just try to add something else. Like, okay, let's say like we have 8 and we have 7. Let's just calculate it. All right, so it has been calculated. If I want to go back, so by the way, this is also output HTML file. You are seeing here, you're at output page. If I want to go back, then it will clear all these stuffs and I can calculate it. Let's say that, okay, we have already imported our errors, right? So I have entered second number as 0, so it should not be calculated. It says modulo by 0 because you should not do that. We have already taken the output, the error as string, and it just returned that there's a problem. And this is how it's done simply. You can calculate it. By the way, if you don't want these buttons to look like that, they are radio buttons. You can simply change, like, okay, if I don't want to do this, like let's say it's a submit button. And if I want to refresh, then I can say that, yeah, this is the submit button. Oh, it looks better actually. Okay. So after that, I can also just remove it. They look better now. I can also remove them. Let's say 10 and like something like that. It has calculated. So yeah, that was it from now on. So that was a very basic web application. We have used 2 HTTP handle function, one for the backslash, the endpoint for input of HTML form, the other one for the result one, the outputting file. So we had a struct to get the results into our HTTP handle function, and we have our calculate function, which we have the algorithms of calculating, adding, modding, and other stuff. and we are listening it on 880 port. So that was it for now. You can find the codes down below. Thank you for listening.